Today we are going to talk about the rise of Islam. So let's begin the part first. In the year 570, in the Arabian city of Mecca, there was born a child named Muhammad whose life changed the course of world history. The son of a merchant, Muhammad grew to maturity in a time of transition. The Roman Empire, which had once been able to impose its hegemony over the Middle East, was only a distant memory. The region was now divided into many squabbling states, and the people adhered to many different faiths. Concerned at the corrupt and decadent society of his day, Muhammad took to wandering in the hills outside Mecca, where on one of these occasions he experienced visions that he was convinced had been inspired by Allah. Eventually, they would be transcribed into the Quran, the holy book of Islam, and provide inspiration to millions of people throughout the world. According to popular belief, Muhammad, mounted on his faithful steed Buraq and, accompanied by the angel Gabriel, embarked on a mystical, night journey to heaven, where Allah introduced him to paradise and hell so that on his return to earth he could instruct the faithful on their prospects in the next world. Within a few decades of Muhammad's death, the Middle East was united once again. As armies under the command of Muhammad's followers swept through the Middle East to the gates of India and the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, Arab beliefs and customs, as reflected through the prism of Muhammad's teachings, transformed the societies and cultures of the peoples living in the new empire. Although the distinctive political and cultural forces that had long characterized the region began to reassert themselves, conditions in all areas affected by these events would never be the same again. The rise of Islam. The Arabs are a Semitic-speaking people of southwestern Asia with a long history. They were mentioned in Greek sources of the 5th century BCE and even earlier in the Old Testament. The Greek historian Herodotus had applied the name Arab to the entire peninsula, calling it Arabia. In 106 BCE, the Romans extended their authority into the Arabian Peninsula, transforming it into a province of their growing empire. During Roman times, the region was inhabited primarily by the Bedouin Arabs, nomadic peoples who came originally from the northern part of the peninsula. Bedouin society was organized on a tribal basis. The ruling member of the tribe was called the Sheikh and was selected from one of the leading families by a council of elders called the Majlis. The Sheikh ruled the tribe with the consent of the council. Each tribe was autonomous but felt a general sense of allegiance to the larger unity of all the clans in the region. In early times, the Bedouins had supported themselves primarily by sheep herding or by raiding passing caravans, but after the domestication of the camel during the 2nd millennium BCE, the Bedouins began to participate in the caravan trade themselves and became major carriers of goods between the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean Sea. The Arabs of pre-Islamic times were polytheistic, with a supreme god known as Allah presiding over a community of spirits. It was a communal faith involving all members of the tribe and had no priesthood. Spirits were believed to inhabit natural objects, such as trees, rivers, and mountains, while the supreme deity was symbolized by a sacred stone. Each tribe possessed its own stone, but by the time of Muhammad, a massive black meteorite, housed in a central shrine called the Kaaba in the commercial city of Mecca, had come to possess especially sacred qualities. In the 5th and 6th centuries CE, the economic importance of the Arabian Peninsula began to increase. As a result of the political disorder in Mesopotamia, a consequence of the constant wars between the Eastern Roman, Byzantine, and Sasanian Persian empires, and in Egypt, the trade routes that ran directly across the peninsula or down the Red Sea became increasingly perilous, and a third route, which passed from the Mediterranean through Mecca to Yemen and then by ship across the Indian Ocean, became more popular. The communities in that part of the peninsula benefited from the change and took a larger share of the caravan trade between the Mediterranean and the countries on the other side of the Indian Ocean. As a consequence, relations between the Bedouins of the desert and the increasingly wealthy merchant class of the towns began to become strained. The role Prophet Muhammad into this world came Prophet Muhammad, a man whose spiritual visions unified the Arab world with a speed no one would have suspected possible. Unfortunately, there is almost no verifiable evidence relating to Muhammad's life. As a result, historians must rely on a limited number of sources, including the Quran and testimonials about his life by his followers, the Hadith. These sources were extensively revised after his death, however, and may have been shaped so as to favor the interests of his successors. Consequently, to many historians of the Middle East, the first years of Islam remain a matter of debate and conjecture. Born in Mecca to a merchant family and orphaned at the age of 6, Muhammad grew up to become a caravan manager and eventually married a rich widow, Khadij, who was also his employer. A member of the local Hashemite clan of the Qurayshi tribe, he lived in Mecca as a merchant for several years but, according to tradition, was troubled by the growing gap between the Bedouin values of honesty and generosity and the acquisitive behavior of the affluent commercial elites in the city. Deeply concerned, he began to visit the nearby hills to meditate in isolation. It was there that he encountered the angel Gabriel, who commanded him to preach the revelations that he would be given. It is said that Muhammad was acquainted with Jewish and Christian beliefs and came to believe that while Allah had already revealed himself in part through Moses and Jesus, and thus through the Hebraic and Christian traditions, the final revelations were now being given to him. Out of his revelations, which were eventually dictated to scribes, came the Quran, meaning recitation, the holy scriptures of Islam, meaning submission, implying submission to the will of Allah. The Quran contained the guidelines by which followers of Allah, known as Muslims, practitioners of Islam, were to live. Like the Christians and the Jews, Muslims were a people of the book, believers in a faith based on scripture. After returning home, Muhammad set out to comply with Gabriel's command by preaching to the residents of Mecca about his revelations. At first, many were convinced that he was a madman or a charlatan. Others were concerned that his vigorous attacks on traditional beliefs and the corrupt society around him might severely shake the social and political order. After 3 years of proselytizing, he had only 30 followers. Discouraged, perhaps, by the systematic persecution of his followers, which was allegedly undertaken with a brutality reminiscent of the cruelties suffered by early Christians, in 622 Muhammad and his closest supporters, mostly from his own Hashemite clan, left the city and retreated north to the rival city of Yathrib, later renamed Medina, or City of the Prophet. That flight, known in history as the Hijra, marks the first date on the official calendar of Islam. At Medina, Muhammad failed in his original purpose to convert the Jewish community in Medina to his beliefs. But he was successful in winning support from many residents of the city as well as from Bedouins in the surrounding countryside. From this mixture, he formed the first Muslim community, the Ummah. Returning to his birthplace at the head of a considerable military force, Muhammad conquered Mecca and converted the townspeople to the new faith. In 630, he made a symbolic visit to the Kaaba, where he declared it a sacred shrine of Islam and ordered the destruction of the idols of the traditional faith. The teachings of Prophet Muhammad, like Christianity and Judaism, Islam is monotheistic. Allah is the all-powerful being who created the universe and everything in it. Islam is also concerned with salvation and offers the hope of an afterlife. Those who hope to achieve it must subject themselves to the will of Allah. Unlike Christianity, Islam makes no claim to the divinity of its founder. Muhammad, like Abraham, Moses, and other figures of the Old Testament, was a prophet, but he was also a man like other men. Because, according to the Quran, earlier prophets had corrupted his revelations, Allah sent his complete revelation through Muhammad. At the heart of Islam is the Quran, with its basic message that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. Consisting of 114 surahs, chapters, drawn together by a committee established after Muhammad's death, the Quran is not only the sacred book of Islam but also an ethical guidebook and a code of law and political theory combined. As it evolved, Islam developed a number of fundamental tenets. Of primary importance is the need to obey the will of Allah. This means following a basic ethical code that consists of what are popularly termed the five pillars of Islam: belief in Allah and Muhammad as his prophet, standard prayer 5 times a day and public prayer on Friday at midday to worship Allah, observance of the holy month of Ramadan, including fasting from dawn to sunset, making a pilgrimage, known as the Hajj, to Mecca at least once in one's lifetime, if possible, and giving alms, called zakat, to the poor and unfortunate. The faithful who observe the law are guaranteed a place in an eternal paradise, a vision of a luxurious and cool garden shared by some versions of Eastern Christianity, with the sensuous delights so obviously lacking in the Arabian desert. Islam is not just a set of religious beliefs but a way of life as well. After the death of Muhammad, a panel of Muslim scholars, known as the Ulama, drew up a law code, called the Sharia, to provide believers with a set of prescriptions to regulate their daily lives. Much of the Sharia was drawn from existing legal regulations or from the Hadith, a collection of the sayings of the Prophet that was used to supplement the revelations contained in the Holy Scriptures. Believers are subject to strict behavioral requirements. In addition to the five pillars, Muslims are forbidden to gamble, eat pork, drink alcoholic beverages, or engage in dishonest behavior. Sexual mores are also strict. Contacts between unmarried men and women are discouraged, and ideally, marriages are arranged by the parents. In accordance with Bedouin custom, polygyny is permitted, but Muhammad attempted to limit the practice by restricting males to no more than 4 wives. The degree to which the traditional account of the exposition and inner meaning of the Quran can stand up to historical analysis is a matter of debate. As explained earlier, the circumstances surrounding the life of Muhammad and his role in founding the religion of Islam remain highly speculative, and many Muslims may be concerned that the consequences of rigorous examination might undercut key tenets of the Muslim faith. One problem is that the earliest known versions of the Quran available today do not contain the diacritical marks that modern Arabic uses to clarify meaning. So much of the sacred text is ambiguous and open to varying interpretations. Thanks for watching and sharing the content.